Hi, Monique.
Hi.
How's it going today?
So great.
I'm excited to have an episode, just the two of us.
Same.
And we are talking about the buzziest topic out there right now.
Okay.
And I don't know if anyone listening has heard of a book by Mel Robbins called The Let Them Theory. It's kind of everywhere.
It is.
But it's everywhere for a reason. If you've read it, which I have, and you have, there's a lot in there that is good stuff.
Yes.
And we would be remiss if not to spend some time on this podcast where we cover a lot of self-help topics.
Yes.
To talk about that book. So, are you with me in letting us talk about the Let Them Theory?
Absolutely. 100%.
Let's do it. Welcome to Heart and Soul, the podcast where we empower and inspire women to lead their best lives, harnessing the power of their hearts and souls. We are Mariah
and Monique,
your hosts and guides on this journey of self-discovery and personal growth.
In each episode, we will dive deep into topics that matter most to you, from self-love and confidence to career development, relationships, and everything in between. We believe that every woman has a unique strength and inner wisdom waiting to be unleashed.
Join us as we cover insightful heart and soul-centered topics and interview incredible women who've overcome challenges, chased their dreams, and found their true purpose. Through all of this, you will discover practical tips, strategies, and real-life stories to help you navigate life's twists and turns.
For whatever season of life you're in, this podcast is your safe space to explore, learn, grow, and possibly even laugh and cry with us. So grab your headphones, maybe your favorite drink, and we'll embark on this transformative journey together.
With heart, I'm Mariah.
And with soul, I'm Monique.
Okay, so The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins, again, super buzzy, trendy book, came to me because I love reading books about self-help topics, right? And it's one of our practices in the mastermind group to recommend books that people read. And we've actually talked a lot about them on the podcast as well. We did different series and use them in our retreats. And I mean, I'm a junkie for a good book or podcast episode. But I think we both have had our own experiences with this Let Them Theory.
Yes.
Separately too, because we weren't necessarily talking about it while we were both reading it. And then we come back together and realize like, oh, yeah, that's going on in my life too.
Right.
So I'd love to hear your experience of the Let Them Theory book. And on today's episode, if you're listening, we really want to share some vulnerable moments of our own where we've applied Mel's practices of let them and let us, or let me, and dig into a little bit, knowing we're not going to be able to cover everything in this juicy book, but I just think that there's something to it that's a good opportunity for us to share.
I agree. And when I've been reading and studying about it, it really is a book about how so many of us are so concerned about what other people think of us. And it's a roadmap for trying to get out of that vicious cycle, right?
Oh, such a vicious cycle. That's such a good way to say it.
Yes, it's just all consuming for a lot of us. So I feel like she is why is it a revolution? Because it's so where a lot of us are. Right?
It's almost so obvious, and the way she lays it out is so clear.
Yes.
The two together are an alchemy of like, oh, thank God someone said it like this.
I feel seen.
Yes, exactly. I feel seen.
Yeah. So we wanted to talk about the book because it has impacted us. And like all of the books that we recommend for our mastermind groups or like even me for coaching clients, it's all about books that help people grow and expand and become or have a more detailed understanding of maybe why they operate the way they operate or how to empower and lift themselves out of a spot where they're stuck. And this book definitely does that. It's a roadmap, which a lot of times we come here and we're like, nobody comes with an owner's manual on how to deal with difficult situations, right?
Yeah, that's not what we learn in school.
Right.
That's not, the roadmap is not clear.
Right.
So we are all grasping at like someone to give us guidance along the way. And every so often there's, a revolutionary text that just like, we needed that right now.
And simple. Because sometimes we as humans just overcomplicate things. Yeah. And so the let them theory and then the let me kind of like secondary part has been really helpful for me when I have taken it, as you've heard me say, to the lab of life and really try to apply and embody some of the principles and some of the things that she brings up. So for me, I've never really necessarily, my larger struggle hasn't been the let them, it's been the let me part. And she breaks it down into those two categories, right?
Yeah.
The first part is, well, let them do the thing, believe the thing, say the thing. It's that old saying of what people think of me is none of my business.
I always love that one.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah.
But it is one of the number one things that holds people back.
Yes.
Do you feel causes anxiety?
Yes.
And
yes. Worry.
And it sneaks up on you on all kinds of little ways.
Yes.
Even when you are someone who generally isn't as concerned about what other people think, you can end up in a phase of life where like you're acting crazy and it's because you are too focused on what other people are doing.
You're giving your power.
And it's not even what they think about you. It's just, what are they doing at all? In the book, she tells a story about like being in a line at a grocery store and it's going slowly and just like losing her shit about it, right?
Who hasn't done that? Well,
oh my gosh. Well, I've got a couple stories to share on the pod today about my own moments with this. But I think that's that part where like anybody can find themselves in this complicated let them situation.
Yes.
And what you need is a couple of tools to recognize that that's what's happening. And then what happens next? That's the let me.
Right.
Which is to do what is aligned, boundaried, and makes sense for you individually and that other people will deal. And they always do.
Yes.
But you think in the moment that they absolutely couldn't possibly.
Well, and some of what I've struggled with is assuming or thinking I know how people are going to react or being overly sensitive and trying to like do back bends to navigate around thoughts or ideas of how I think people are going to react to what I do.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, so many people care very little about what I'm doing.
They're all in their own atmosphere.
Yes.
It's a lot like Einstein time, topic that I've brought up many times before. Like we're all operating in our own zone of relativity and we're relative to each other.
Yes.
And yes, things that we do have impact on others, but at some point you need to lead from your true north. You need to be staying within your boundaries, your values. It talks a lot about that too. Like figure out what your values are and operate within them. And then also just like be chill, like chill out. Like in an Einstein time model, if you're in the grocery store and it's taking too long, like that's just exactly where you're supposed to be right then and there. And it's supposed to take that much time. Like, why are we so fixated on the hurry up?
I do feel like we are sort of all a little bit control freaks,
Yeah.
And we have like, I can do this at 5:45 and at 5:50 I can do,
Oh yeah. I'm wound up tight right now, man. I am in that mode.
I think to be honest with you, at this given point in history, given our instability within government, within our economy, it's hard to avoid that.
We're grasping at anything that we can control or anything that feels stable. We've talked about that on other episodes.
Yes.
Well, so the let them theory.
Yes.
In the book, obviously go read it and check and then get back to us about your thoughts, right?
If you haven't seen this book, we'll link it in the show notes, but I think it'd be hard for you to not see it.
It's a green cover, green and yellow, like you can't miss it, and everyone's talking about it. But I think it'd be fun to share some stories of our own.
Of how we've tried integrating this into our lives.
Or we've become aware of it or seen what's going on and what we've done about it.
Yeah, I feel like I would love to hear from you if you wouldn't mind on a let them moment, because mine is more about the let me.
Yeah.
Which is secondary to I must first recognize like, oh, this is what it's talking about. I need to let them just
Yep.
be or do or whatever. And then it's now let me do this. So yeah.
Well, I have two that are pretty, like, one of them is straight out of the book, which is bizarre because I'd already read the book and then I still fell down this trap. So, like, shame on me.
Welcome to being a
Oh my
human.
gosh.
Yeah.
And I was reading this or listening to it at a time when I really needed it. I was struggling just more in my personal life with teenagers and husbands, soon to be empty nesters, a busy work life. I was just like, everything swirling around me, and I was really focused on them and not me, and that was not making anything easier. But in the book, she tells a story about prom and how the kids had their own plan / no plan for prom, and she kept trying to get involved and like, but what are you going to have for dinner? But like, and then the kids said, we're going to have pizza, and she freaked out, and well, there I was. Involved in the prom plans.
After having read the book.
Yes. And in the book thinking, oh, please don't let this be me in another month. Oh, no. Had to go right down that path. And it was so the control, right? Like, I know better than you. And I embarrassingly told my daughter at the dinner table, first I asked them, my daughters, do you have a timeline for prom day? What the hell? Because you're going to need a timeline. Or this is going to be disaster, right? Like I'm already deciding they can't possibly navigate a day to go to prom, which they really don't care that much about, to be honest.
Isn't that so interesting?
And I got on a soapbox around literally sitting at the dinner table. And I went on about how important this day is to people, not just them. And people want to take pictures and the memory. Bullshit to all of it because I didn't feel that way when I was their age. Should have been my first clue, right? And they were sort of just like dumbfounded by whatever this was. They're like, sure, Mom, give us the timeline. Let us know where to be and when, right? And I had it all written out.
Wow.
I had this thing dialed
as an event planner, I mean,
know, it is what I do. Yeah. But I was like, listen, this is what I do. And then there was some discussion about like the timeline. And I was like, you think you know how to make a timeline better than me?
So it was so not only bad, the timeline they had.
It was embarrassing. My husband called me out afterwards and was like, that was embarrassing. Like, you really needed to like shake down our daughters about making a timeline for prom. Stay out of it. Oof. Well, you would think I could. No. I really struggled the whole day. And in fact, actually even had a conversation with one of the girls where I was trying to help her stay out of the fray of the planning. Like, so there's 12 girls going as a group. That's complicated in itself, right?
Yeah,
like
that's hurting
they
a lot
going
of cats.
as a group. Yeah. So I was like trying to use the let them tools to help her with managing this huge group.
Sure.
And then on the other side of my mouth, I was like completely getting upset and bothered by like, well, but what are you doing here? Like, no, let me do your planning for you. We went to take photos. Everybody was like everywhere and I'm trying to take charge. And she just gave me a stare that was like, whoops, Mom, stay out of it.
Wow.
And it wasn't until the whole thing was said and done. And I was like, I'm an idiot.
I got the lesson after the fact.
Yeah. I mean, I think I knew the whole time, but I couldn't give up control.
Yes.
And I was like, but why? Why am I so emotionally tied up in this going well when I really have no control over whether it's going to go well or not? I bought the dress. Like, that should have been the extent and like back off and let them go have a good time. I'm glad that like I had an awareness of it.
Yes.
That I could let go. Like,
thank God you read the book already, right?
And that my husband was there and he was able to be like, what the hell was that nonsense? But I think we build ourselves up too that like certain moments, certain nights of our lives are supposed to be, you know, the most memorable. When at the end of the day, they were like, prom, whatever. Didn't really care. And I think saying this out loud, I think, well, I mean, I am in the business of people's wedding days.
Absolutely.
Where like,
it's a
there's
big deal.
no question the amount of money you spend on something like a wedding. Like you really want to come away having enjoyed it. And I'm the person people hire to make that happen.
Yes.
So like, yeah, I can see I can see why I fell in this trap.
Of course.
But I think the thing I found most entertaining was that she literally told the story in the book about ordering the pizza for prom. And I was like, like all wrapped up in these prom plans. But I'm glad I had it as a tool because I stopped it from getting any worse. And I was able to be reflective about it after the fact of like, I need to just let them have the prom plans that they want to have.
Yes.
I don't need to always give everybody a timeline of how this is going to go. I wasn't hired to do this job.
Right.
Right?
This is
Nobody
a freebie.
was paying me to do this. And so I should just sit on the couch, right? Like if they want my opinion, they'll come to me.
Be the couch mom.
Yeah. Why couldn't I just do that? But alas. So that was a recent story. And then even more recently, I was planning a birthday party for my mother.
Aww.
Who's just turning 70
Aww.
and she doesn't look a day anywhere near 70.
No.
And my sister and I were making this plan and we kind of had a whole theme we were going with. And the day before we were getting all the preparations together. Apparently this always comes back to planning some sort of function, but doesn't it for most people, right?
Yes.
And my dad texts and says, what's the plan for the party tomorrow? And we're like, well, it's this, and this. He's like, oh, okay. Well, I bought a cake, invited people, and made a menu. And we were both like,
wait, what?
Wait, what?
Yeah. Wait, what?
You did what? And I had to stop. And I was just like, okay. I need to just let him. It doesn't matter. Like he got I don't know.
It's his partner. Her partner.
He got a whim.
Yeah.
He got excited. He got
sweet.
whatever. So he's invited more people. So there's going to be another cake. There's a different meal plan. And I'm texting with my sister and she's like, well, what should we do? And I think she suggested it and I agreed. I think we should just go with the flow. And that was the words that we used. We're just going to go with the flow.
I love that.
We're going to show up. We're going to bring more food. It's going to be more the merrier. And we're going to assume best intention. Because that's another thing about the let them theory is that you have to assume that people are mostly best intentioned. And there's other things going on in their lives that's making them make choices or decisions that they're making. So like his intentions were pure.
Of course.
But we both had to just stop ourselves in our tracks. The past us might have been more like,
why are you doing this?
Like freak out, right?
Sure.
Like, I did call my mom to be like, do you know Dad planned a different party, right? But
like we're actually two parties at the same party.
And in the end, it was no big deal.
Okay.
It was, I'm glad that he did that. We had more delicious food. Some of their best friends were able to come that we hadn't thought. Like we just kept it to family. Like there were just synergies happened because we let it flow and we didn't try to make this more difficult than it needed to be. But it was definitely a moment of us being like, let him. And I wish at different times in my life I'd probably been more willing to let him. Just like I'm grateful my girls were willing to let me be a little bit crazy about their prom day.
Yes.
Because that was obviously part of the journey too. So kids, let your parents be crazy a little bit, but also like just go with the flow.
Right.
And so that whole day on her birthday party, I just stopped. I stopped trying to control it. I stopped trying to do everything for everybody.
Maybe make sure it was perfect. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I let it go and I just let myself go do things that I was excited about, preparing the food that I had brought. And it was such a wonderful day. It was so pleasant.
That's really great.
It had started out with a meltdown in Costco, but we can save that for another day.
That's not as much
that
about
was before
this.
I got in the flow. But, I like to tell these stories because I think that anybody who's come to this podcast because they think that they know us, right? Or they know of us and they see the worlds that we've built and all the work that we do. And they're like, I don't know how you do it. And I'm like, dude, I don't. I have as many meltdowns in Costco as anybody else. I meddle in my children's lives.
Yeah.
I'm mad at my husband. I struggle with my parents. Like, nobody's life is perfect.
No.
And so that's why we need to let them, right?
Yes.
We need to understand that, like, we're all operating out of the same sort of insanity.
Yes.
So like, just like give people grace. It's a grace in space is
Yes.
literally let them.
Yes, it really is. I will say too, when you were talking, I was just thinking about, for me, what that really represented is like an attachment to an outcome. You were attached to something being a certain way because you thought that your way was best, or your sister thought her way was best, or whatever the thing is. And honestly, you are the authority on parties. So in reality,
it makes it tricky.
It does make it tricky. But I do think like the grasping and trying to control, and it's really just about letting go of the attachment to how you think something should be going, and accepting the way the reality actually is, right?
And I think the universe is trying to teach me in this exercise of planning a lot of things personally to know when to let go, like to separate my personal and my professional selves. Because that's challenging for anyone, right?
Yes.
Like, can you just leave your work at the door? Well, when you're a party planner and then you have to plan a party for your family,
That's tough.
that's not leaving your work at the door.
That's true.
And so I think like I've been in this testing for a while of like how to handle it when it's for myself. And I'm working on it. But
work in progress.
I'm welcoming any theory that can help. And the let them theory is definitely right now helping, because if I haven't been paid to do something, I think I just need to like let it be. Or if I'm not personally necessarily like solely hosting it,
yes,
I need to just let it be. Like let other people step in and be successful in their own right.
So for me, I can totally relate to what you're saying. And I've been working on the next step of it. So I have 3 sons, right? And they're all adults. And they all have very active and busy lives. And like just recently, I asked them all to come for Mother's Day to be with me. And I had this like, I've learned to let go of how I think it's going to be, because I think that like that's let them, right? But then what happens is I get stuck in this swirl of, well, what about me sort of thing. That's where my focus has been the most troubling for me. So I've learned as my children have gotten older and everything was controlled, like the holidays were controlled. Oh, we're doing this. And I planned all of the things, just like you're talking about, right? Or Mother's Day is like, oh, I'd love it if we could just all hang out and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's just not the way it goes anymore, because I have children who are very busy with their own lives and their own careers. They're adults and they have their own families now. And so I've had to kind of say, okay, so I'm going to let them. But then what about me, right? So what does that mean for me? And because I've always been such a caretaker, the let me has actually been more challenging.
You don't even know what you want because you haven't allowed yourself to even entertain that. So when you have to say, well, what do I even want to do?
Yes. So
it's hard for women.
It's very hard. And okay, that means I get to choose, but choose what? You know, and my mind, and I think I'm normal, tends to go to the dark places like, okay, well, fine. I guess I'll just be alone on Mother's Day.
Oh, no, you didn't do that, did you?
Of course I did.
Oh, Monique.
I mean, honestly, like, right?
Yeah.
No. We're just going to back up the bus and we're just going to allow people to be where they feel they need to be on the days that they feel they need to be it, and trust that it's good intent. They have good intent.
It has nothing to do with how much they love you.
Exactly. They know, they mean, they know their limits. They know their boundaries. So then what is it that I'm hoping to achieve from this day? What is it the let me portion is? What is it that I'm wanting to receive? What is it I'm wanting to sit in? What energy do I want to sense and feel? And I know I'm not alone with this, because as people adjust and change and they go into empty nesting and families move away, or maybe they don't have families.
Or you have grandchildren and now they have their own moms to honor within their families.
And that's the person who should matter the most.
Yeah.
It is a shift. And so then I have to kind of look at my priorities, my values, what is it I want? What is important to me? If my day was spent alone, am I going to be depressed about it? Or could I revel and remember the days when things were so busy. I'd be like, this Mother's Day, I'd really just like nobody to touch me.
Right. There was a Mother's Day. What you asked for was, I don't want to see any of your faces.
Exactly.
Right.
Can the gift be that you all go away?
How quickly it shifts, right?
It does
Next
shift.
thing you know, you're sad they're not
Yes.
driving to spend the day with you.
So I'm trying to like in my own internal process, bring up those memories of like, do you remember when, parenting and life in general is so all or nothing, right?
Yeah.
It's like this huge polarities, like this pendulum's over here and then it swings over here. Do you remember when it was so full and so busy? You just basically are trying to tread water. You're not there right now. So you actually get to do a little bit more deeper thinking about what it is you actually want, what gives you joy. And as I've sat with that, it's the basic things that bring me joy. It's cooking really good food, having great conversations, sitting and listening to music, being in the water, being outside, petting my dog, reading books, though none of those things require other people, really, maybe my dog, but so like, why am I just so hell-bent on if it's not going to be this way, then I have no value is really where my mind goes. I'm worthless because things aren't going to go the way I want because I can't seem to, I'm letting them, but I'm resentful.
So you're not really letting them.
Yeah. Right.
You are accepting that that's what they've decided, but you're not changing the guilt, shame, or value you're placing on whether they're there with you or not as a measure of yourself as a mother.
Yeah. And I had released like my upset, my anger towards, or not even anger, just hurt feelings towards them because I understand I've been at that stage. Right.
Yeah.
That's a hard stage. You're busy. But what I'm struggling with is
now what?
Now what for me?
So I had a similar experience to this with my birthday a few years ago, where I'd had a birthday where it was like, in my head, I knew what I wanted them to do, but I also didn't want to have to tell them or communicate that. I just wanted them to know, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I always want people to be mind readers, duh. This actually speaks to, in the Let Them Theory book, like it really also totally comes down to communication.
Yes.
If we don't give clear direction, expectations about what we want, what the let me do this, we can't expect other people to just know or guess.
Right.
And so at that point, I was like, wait a minute, I'm going to try something new. From here on out, I'm going to tell everybody exactly what I want for my birthday. I'm going to be like, I want to go to this restaurant and like with whoever wants to be there with me. And if you want to get me gifts, these are things that I like or need. And I made my own plans. I just planned I made a timeline for my own damn birthday. And it was all things that I wanted to do with or without people.
Love that.
And if anyone could join me along the way, wonderful.
Yes.
I haven't gone wrong since, other than I mostly work on my birthday. So like, fine. But I'm always very clear now of what I want. I want it to be this, this, and this. And if you can be there, great. And if you can't be there, I'm still doing something I'm excited about. So thinking for you, if you're thinking about a Sunday and it's Mother's Day and there's no kids available to be there with you, what would bring you joy that day?
That's what I've been doing.
Cook yourself an amazing dinner. Go jump in the lake. For me, go to TJ Maxx. Like, I mean, whatever it is. Get my nails done. What do you just want to do for you to say, I honor myself as a mother? And if someone else happens to show up, guess what? The boys can go with you to the nail salon and get their nails done. Take the girls. If they can join, more the merrier. But if they can't, you're totally taken care of.
Yes. And I'll be honest, it was a fabulous, I mean, full transparency, it was a fabulous Mother's Day. We're just like digging into this idea and concept after the Let Them Theory of like, let me.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of internal, for me.
Yep.
Because I am such a caretaker.
Yeah.
It takes more internal work for me to actually now let me. Well, let me what?
I know.
And
I do think you've hit upon something that is the harder nugget of the book.
Yes.
Which is let me.
Right.
And it's almost like she gets to that and then you're like, wait, what? Like, I can let them, but then
let me
what
wait,
am I going to do?
let me
like
what?
focus on myself. That's selfish.
Yes.
Oh, I can go on and on about that. And she mentions that as well. Like we have this like aversion, a physical aversion to selfishness, which is the least selfless thing you can do is take care of yourself. It's a whole messed up, like
Yes.
back and forth, right?
Yes.
And I've talked about that in other episodes.
Yes. We have, and I believe that, like, for me, I think in this instance, it's really like my mind tends to want to help and be of service. And when I'm not needed, and it wants to create like, you know, the event, the thing like you were talking about with your family, it kind of hits on this, like I was mentioning, worthiness, but also, are we okay just being, you know, like just sitting and just being a person without even doing anything, right? Like what brings us joy at the base level? And that's really where I've been trying to deepen my roots right now, because of the stage and phase and season of life I'm in, where I get to look at these things in a more intimate level with myself and find what makes me happy, where my values are, what aligns. I'm not just so busy working and making everyone else, because that is my default. So getting out of my default and being like, okay, shake it off, shake it off. You get to do this. You get to focus on what you actually want. And it isn't much that I actually need. I'm not into consumerism anymore. I'm not into going out and getting better and doing more. I'm really just wanting to do some really like lovely basic things. And it's bringing me way more joy and presence and ease of being and spaciousness in my mind and peace. So I feel like that's the when I really started looking at the now let me portion, and I've really started to integrate it and I'm trying to embody that part. That's the benefit that this has given me. Whereas maybe before it was hurt feelings, it was anxiety, it was FOMO, it was, you know, all of that. And now it's just like, okay. And then if I get to be with people, I'm like, oh, that's a surprise. That's a nice surprise.
It's a nice delight.
Yes.
Yeah, surprise and delight.
Yes.
Didn't see it coming, and now I can really be present to enjoy it.
But it's taken some work.
Oh, it's a daily practice.
Both parts of it are a lot of work, aren't they?
Yeah, but worth it.
Yes.
Worth the work. And that's why I think it was important for us to talk about this on the podcast.
Yes.
As that it is buzzy, but buzzy because like
for a reason.
People are really sinking their teeth into it. And so I just want to encourage anybody who's listening today, like, to give it a whirl, give it a listen. Even if you don't have time for the whole book, go back and just listen to some of Mel's podcast episodes. I've become a real Mel Robbins fan. I really enjoy the way that she approaches her podcast guests, and just is a great, I don't know, just easy to listen to. So give that a shot. And I feel like there's a lot more in this book that we could talk about.
Absolutely.
So maybe we could do a series on it, like we have with other books that we've listened to. And I definitely could see it starting to come into our mastermind group, like now that we're both having digested it. And but I would say this could be some great future topics. And if anyone listening agrees and wants to hear more, like certainly let us know on our Instagram or email us. Like if you want more of this, let us know for sure. And thank you for listening. One thing that Mel does on her podcast that I don't know, I'm feeling compelled to say here. She always starts the episodes by saying, like, if you've tuned in today to this podcast, it's because you are doing something for yourself. You are listening to this because you have said, I need this in my life. I want to learn about whatever they're talking about today. I got excited when I saw they were talking about let them. And just know how grateful we are. Like, we are so grateful that you've shared this hour with us, and that whoever's listening is spending some time on a topic that we think could be really valuable. And the other thing is, like, we just love you guys.
Yes.
Like, we're I love you, and I love that we do this together and that we let ourselves do this. And anybody who might have said, like, how could you possibly record all these episodes of podcasts? Like, we just let them not understand, and we did it anyways. So thank you for being my partner and letting us too. So
thank you.
yeah, so
that's sweet.
Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for more. And I always
get the book if you haven't.
And get the book.
Oh my gosh, it's totally a good read. Get it on audio if you hate reading.
Yes, I listened to it. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Cheers, friends. You've just finished another episode of the Heart and Soul podcast. We hope that you've enjoyed the show, and if you've loved it, we would love if you'd leave us a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening. You can find links to leave that review in the show notes, where you'll also find other resources that we reference on our show. And if you think a friend could find value in today's episode or any future episodes, please share this episode with them on social media. This is one of the only ways the podcast can organically grow, and we just can't wait to connect with you and all of your besties. You can also find Monique and I on our many social media platforms or our websites, and we're going to leave links to those in the show notes as well. Thank you for listening. We look forward to sharing our hearts and souls with you again next time. With Heart, I'm Mariah.
And with Soul, I'm Monique.